After 4 long months of waiting since the last episode, Darian Quilloy surprises us once again with a brand new entry in the second season of this incredible analog horror series, Vita Carnis, Dire Measures. In this new chapter, we not only witness the downfall of one of the most important characters in the entire story, but also chilling new research on the Harvester and the Host of Influence. And that's not all. This time, we'll see how the influence of these creatures goes far beyond reshaping the ecosystem. It reaches into organizations, minds, and even human will. If this is your first encounter with Vita Carnis, I strongly recommend checking out the playlist linked in the description to catch up on this fascinating series we've been following since the very beginning of the channel. Just a heads up, the first few videos, especially the first 2, are a bit old, so don't be surprised if my narration or editing was a little rough back then. That said, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who responded to the pinned comment in the last video and for the incredible support you always give me. Remember, if you'd like to be featured in the next video, make sure to reply to the pinned comment where you'll find this question. Do you think there is an entity above the singularities? And if so, what do you believe its motivations are? Without further ado, don't forget to leave your precious like and subscribe to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. If you're unsure what to comment, just type meow in the comments section and I'll give you a heart in return. Comments are incredibly important and help the video a lot, so don't forget to leave yours. And of course, don't forget to check out my second channel as well. Welcome back to Vita Carnis. The new episode of Vita Carnis opens with a message dated July 3rd, 1995, written by a mysterious individual known only as B. That name, or rather, that letter, should already sound familiar. B has made several appearances throughout previous episodes, leaking classified information from CARCAS to an unknown recipient, identified only as V. Some speculate that V could be Vincent Barrera, the man once hunted by CSIS, but for now, nothing has been confirmed. Why is B doing all of this? Because he's witnessing the slow decay of the organization from the inside. CARCAS is no longer what it used to be, or perhaps it never was what we thought it was. In previous messages, B warned that even the most basic protocols were being neglected, key personnel replaced, and that something was definitely being built behind the scenes. His latest message reads, "I don't know how much time I have. I think they are beginning to realize what I'm doing. I've sent over one last package containing anything I thought looked important. If I don't contact you again, assume the worst. I know how hard it is to combat this alone again, but I don't think we have a choice. You figured it out before. You can do it again before it's too late. Good luck to you." B knows it. His time is running out. He's in danger. That's why he chooses to send one final batch of evidence before the worst happens. Immediately after, the CARCAS logo flashes on screen, accompanied by the word classified. This is likely the confidential material B managed to leak. Much of this footage is fragmented, cutting between various segments, new research on the Harvester and the Host of Influence, brief snippets of TV commercials, strange recordings, and, of course, the educational program we've seen more than once before. To keep things clear and organized, we'll break down and analyze each of these segments separately and in depth, instead of following the episode's fragmented structure. First, we're presented with a series of strange cuts. As we've theorized before, all signs point to these clips being observed by the singularities as a way to study and learn about us. The constant murmuring we hear in the background might, in fact, be the voice or voices of one or more of these entities, which only strengthens this theory. This time, the educational program tackles a new topic, sleep. With its now familiar friendly tone, soft music, and simple animations, the program's mascot begins explaining the importance of getting proper rest and proceeds to describe the 4 stages of sleep. Everything seems to follow the usual pattern, until something unexpected happens. Just as the mascot is about to explain what dreams actually are, its expression changes. That ever-present smile fades. Its once cheerful eyes go dim, and its arms, normally moving with animated gestures, drop lifelessly to its sides, as if it no longer knows what to say. The explanation never comes. The program simply ends. What is it about dreams that cannot be explained? What truth is hidden behind such an innocent question? And why is it at that very moment that everything cuts to black? Questions that, for now, remain unanswered. We now move on to the segment dedicated to the harvesters, where we are presented with a series of investigation reports spanning from January 20th to July 25th, 1995. It all begins with the image of a fleshy red bulb, an infant harvester freshly emerged from the crawl. It's contained inside a transparent box. Just a simple sprout, yet already a potential threat. The container bears a warning label resembling those used for hazardous biological materials. On this first day, the bulb is deemed stable enough to begin the observation phase. It is transferred to a specialized containment cell, specifically designed to study its development while minimizing any unnecessary risks. 1 day later, the bulb is placed in its new environment. From that moment on, a long process begins: adaptation, growth, and constant surveillance. We jump ahead 5 months. June 20th, 1995. The bulb has reached maturity. It's grown enough to be considered viable for field testing. This marks the official start of the study of one of the deadliest creatures in the entire Vita Carnis ecosystem. The team's first task is to extract venom from the harvester's tendrils, an extremely dangerous procedure. As we know, the creature produces 2 kinds of toxins, one paralytic, the other anticoagulant, both lethal. The report proposes an experimental method, placing a silicone sponge on the harvester's terrain, hoping it would absorb the venom as the tendrils pierced it. But during the first test, conducted the next day, the experiment proves disastrous. As soon as a test dummy is lowered into the cell, the tendrils react instantly, striking with deadly precision. The creature displays a shockingly high level of predatory efficiency. Worse yet, the sponge fails. It's too fragile to absorb the venom without breaking apart. The method is discarded. With no other safe options, the team resorts to a more direct approach, sedating the harvester and manually extracting the venom. Risky, but effective. On June 23rd, they successfully extract both types of venom from 5 different spines. On screen, we see 2 vials. On the left, the yellowish paralytic venom, more abundant. On the right, the reddish anticoagulant. From that point forward, a steady production of both toxins begins. By July 20th, the report confirms the extraction process has been a total success, and the team now has a controlled, reliable supply of both venoms. Finally, on July 25th, one last test is conducted. A trimming is introduced into the harvester's cell, and nothing happens. The report concludes that the harvester's tendrils do not react to trimmings, possibly suggesting a natural immunity or mutual recognition between species within the Vita Carnis ecosystem. However, further research is needed to determine whether other creatures, such as meat snakes or mimics, share this same protection. We now move on to the Host of Influence segment, where we're presented with reports from an investigation that began on August 20th and culminated in a series of experiments carried out between October 1st and 15th of that same year. Following the capture of the New Trier cult in 1991, CARCAS Special Forces, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma teams conducted a full sweep of the facility known as Facility Zero. During the operation, they not only secured several dangerous entities, but also uncovered something of significant interest: a living specimen of the so-called Imperium Carnis, later renamed the Host of Influence. Alongside it, they recovered 3 vials, each containing a powder of different color. Subsequent analysis revealed that one vial contained spores from the host itself, another held a flavor enhancer used by the cult, and the third a more complex, unidentified variation of the original spores. The host was transferred to CARCAS facilities for the purpose of studying its nature and the function of these substances. To that end, a series of human exposure tests were initiated. The first test subject was a volunteer named Leto Dolus. The procedure involved placing the host inside a special containment cell connected via a ventilation system to a separate observation chamber, into which the subject was introduced. This setup allowed researchers to monitor the effects of the airborne spores without direct physical contact, because we all know what would happen without proper safeguards. Once exposed, the subject would be placed under quarantine to observe any behavioral changes. Once symptoms stabilized, the subject would be asked to provide both a verbal and written report detailing what they experienced under the influence of the spores. During the first exposure, Dulles exhibited mild irritation upon inhalation. The host, for its part, grew visibly agitated and attempted to attack the subject through the glass barrier. Dulles was immediately removed and quarantined for 36 hours. Throughout the quarantine period, he entered a state of total passivity, standing still in front of the door, unresponsive to any stimuli. By the third day, symptoms began to subside, and Dulles was deemed stable enough to deliver his first verbal report.
I feel tired, and I have aches in my legs and arms. I'm also quite nauseous. Not dizzy, but foggy, if that makes sense. I don't feel too bad overall. The worst I feel is very hungry and thirsty.
His written account, dated October 3rd, reveals significant sensory and cognitive disruption. He described his vision as dark and blurry, like wearing glasses with the wrong prescription. Sounds were muted, and he experienced a dense mental fog that made even the simplest tasks feel impossible. But the most alarming symptom was a powerful, irrational urge to leave the room. In his own words, it wasn't like forgetting why he had entered a room. It was like forgetting why he was leaving it. An unknown, mindless force compelled him to move, with no conscious intention. He also reported a constant ringing in his ears, as if he were trapped inside his own body. On October 5th, Dulles underwent a second exposure. The host remained aggressive, though noticeably less erratic than before. This time, however, Dulles began to show early signs of mental exhaustion. During the following quarantine, his condition grew more emotionally unstable. While he remained in a dazed, confused state, this time he also displayed intense distress. He cried, screamed, and thrashed against his confinement. Yet again, the symptoms faded the next day. He appeared calmer and was allowed to give a second report. This time, Dulles described even more unsettling effects. He saw blurred figures and lingering lights, like the ghostly glow left after staring at a bulb. He felt exhausted. His joints were stiff, and his fingers trembled uncontrollably. He suffered from severe disorientation and pounding headaches. On top of that, he complained of eye pain, visual flashes in his peripheral vision, and a constant hum that drowned out all other sounds, making it impossible to understand the whispers he thought he heard. He claimed not to remember what happened after the quarantine, only that he felt a desperate, unstoppable need to escape. Despite everything, he said he felt better, and he expressed a willingness to continue with the experiment. On October 9th, Lito Dulles was exposed to the host's spores for a third time. Unlike the two previous sessions, this time the host showed no signs of aggression. On the contrary, its behavior was strangely calm, almost docile. It seemed genuinely curious about the test subject, watching him intently through the glass. Dulles, for his part, experienced the same now familiar symptoms, though with no immediate worsening. However, something changed during the October 10th quarantine. Leto began throwing himself against the door, desperate to escape. He had to be restrained to prevent self-harm. Once the effects of the exposure subsided, he insisted he was willing to continue the trials, but the look on his face, visible in the audio report dated the 11th, said otherwise.
It feels numb, like pressure. It's not bad. It doesn't hurt. I don't think so, at least. I remember something. I can't pin it, though. Like remembering a dream. It was bright. It was nice. I felt important.
That same day, he wrote a new report, and this is where the language takes a disturbing turn, becoming clearly spiritual, delusional, and obsessive. I seen figures dance in the dark. I want to catch them. Why were they there? What did they want to say to me? I couldn't hear their whispers. So much ringing. I need to hear what they said. Why did they need me? Why was I called? This excerpt marks a turning point. Dulles' mental breakdown was no longer limited to his body or senses. It It was now attacking his very identity, his faith. He had begun interpreting his hallucinations as messages with meaning and saw himself as the chosen recipient of some divine calling. It was as if the host's influence was implanting a mission inside his mind. Then, on October 13th, during the fourth exposure, a shocking discovery was made. The spores released by the host were no longer orange, as in previous sessions. Now they were tinged with red, suggesting a mutation or perhaps an emotional response from the entity as its connection with Leto deepened. That same day, Leto was confined once again, this time strapped to the bed to prevent self-inflicted harm. Despite the restraints, he struggled, and by the October 15th recording, his face was barely recognizable, disfigured by exhaustion, wounds, and sheer obsession. His report that day was brief, but deeply unsettling. His words, and his behavior, echoed those once displayed by Simon Vanguard, the leader of the cult.
I see it. It is dark, but a light so beautiful. I devote myself to the great truth, to stray from darkness and meet the light, for wonder and wisdom. I serve my Lord. I serve my Lord. I serve my Lord. I serve my Lord.
I devote myself to the great truth, to stray from darkness and meet the light, for wonder and wisdom.
Hey, calm yourself. Hey, stop! I need security! I need security in here, now!
Finally, on October 15th, the experiment was suspended indefinitely. The official report left no room for doubt. The psychological deterioration of Leto Dolus was far too advanced to proceed. The host of influence experiment had revealed not only the capabilities of the Imperium Carnis, but the terrifying extent to which it could corrupt, reshape, and ultimately possess the human will. What began as a simple spore exposure turned into a full-blown process of spiritual indoctrination, one that stripped Leto of his autonomy and rewired his mind to worship an entity, a master. Could this be the work of the singularities themselves? Or perhaps something beyond even them? We're then shown an interrogation. CARCAS had launched an internal investigation. Something wasn't right. Documents were disappearing, tapes were going missing, and certain experiments seemed to be leaking to the outside world. It didn't take long before they found the culprit, Bruce Phoenix, head of the archives department, someone we already knew under the alias B. Bruce appears tied to a chair, visibly confused and disoriented. Next to him is Dr. Marshall, who, in a seemingly calm tone, tells him they just want to ask a few questions and that the restraints are simply a safety measure. The tension is thick. Bruce tries to keep his composure, dodging questions, pretending not to understand what he's being accused of. But it doesn't stay a simple interrogation for long. It quickly becomes a direct accusation. Bruce denies everything, but Dr. Marshall isn't working off suspicions. He has proof, and Bruce knows it. There's no way out. The moment he's feared has finally come, and tragically, it's clear he won't be leaving that room alive.
What's going on? Hey!
Sit still, Bruce. It's all right.
Dr. Trados, why am I here?
Calm yourself. We're just going to ask a few questions. The restraints are just a precaution.
What?
Relax.
Okay.
So, Bruce Phoenix, you are the manager in our files department, is that correct?
Yes.
What would you say you do?
I, organize documents, process reports, tapes, files, mainly with our experimentation unit.
I see. The reason I ask is because I believe there have been some issues recently with your department. Have you noticed anything?
No, I don't think so.
Really? Nothing at all?
No. It seems to be in order to me. Why?
Well, I asked because we had a look through our documentation and noticed some inconsistencies.
Like what, sir?
We noticed that there has been some tampering with some particular documents. Classified documents. Nothing too big, but it seems someone's been covering some things up. Well, you are the head of that department, so we thought you would know something. Are you sure you don't know anything?
I'm sure.
I'm sure too. You know, loyalty is an important part of how we work here. We handle some important things, classified things, things we don't want getting into the wrong hands. So when we find out that someone has been smuggling documents behind our back, that is awfully concerning. Especially when that person, I don't know, is lying right to my face.
I'm not lying, sir!
Stop! Especially when we have them on video. Which leads me to ask, why are you taking tapes out?
I can explain! I was just...
Stop! I don't need to know what you were doing with them, but I do need to know one thing. Who are you sending them to?
No one!
Who are you sending them to?
Please, sir, listen! I was just organizing them and I had to move them!
Who are you in contact with?
Marshal, please! I'm not lying!
We are past that, Bruce. Why do you think this was acceptable? What you were doing threatens national security. You are actively threatening the progress of the human species.
No! I'm trying to save the human species. What we are doing here is wrong! It's those things! They have brainwashed you! They are messing with your judgment. Safety protocols, basic upkeep, reckless experiments. This isn't progress! This is madness! You're becoming like those monsters who worship them! Please, Marshal. We need to stop.
I will ask one last time. Who are you contacting?
Never. I'm done. I won't be a part of this. I'm done.
Cut the cameras.
Have you watched some of the tapes of the experiments we do? It's interesting, some of the things in there. Did you know in harvesters that both of the venoms they inject are lethal? The neurotoxin doesn't just block the nerve signals, it directly attacks each nerve, causing sudden paralysis in muscles, moving deeper into your vitals. But for each nerve that dies, you feel every single thing. But all you can do is sit in silence as your nerves burn away until your heart stops beating, your lungs stop breathing, and your brain shuts down. Fortunately, usually the other venom causes you to bleed out first.
Sir, what are you doing?
Fortunate indeed.
Sir, please. No, please don't. Don't, please don't. No. I'm sorry, Marshal. No, please.
The execution of Bruce Phoenix isn't just an act of violence. It's a symbol, a breaking point. For the human resistance against Vita Carnis, Bruce's death marks the loss of an inside voice, a vital link who tried, from within, to slow the advance of an institution that has long since crossed every ethical boundary imaginable. You've seen it yourself, the coldness and sadism of Dr. Marshall, who, before injecting the toxins, calmly explains to Bruce exactly how he'll die, knowing full well that there's nothing he can do to stop it. CARCAS no longer operates under the banner of science or human principles. It's been ideologically corrupted by prolonged exposure to the Vita Carnis, especially to entities like the Host of Influence, whose very name is a clue. In fact, based on Bruce's own words, combined with what we see on screen, an even more disturbing possibility is suggested that most, if not all, members of the organization have fallen victim to some form of brainwashing. Humanity is losing this war. At the end of the episode, we're shown the final report written by Leto Dolus, but it's not a written document, it's a drawing. At first glance, it might look meaningless or incoherent, but if you look closely, you'll recognize it instantly. It's the exact same image that appeared in one of the hidden pages from Season 1, in that strange fairy tale about the prince. With this, the series establishes a direct connection to one of the most cryptic and profound elements of the Vita Carnis lore. And finally, what would Vita Carnis be without its signature hidden video? This time we're shown a rather short clip, but it's visually disturbing. Here it is. As usual, the audio is reversed, but in this case, the sound is especially loud, distorted, and difficult to decipher. Even so, I thought I could make out a few lines at the beginning, like, "It's all your fault they died. It was your responsibility." As for the visuals, some of them immediately reminded me of that poor family who tragically died during a harvester attack back in Season 1. We also see quick flashes of several mimics and the lifeless body of Dr. Farron Brones. Who do you think this message is meant for? And what else do you think is being said in the rest of the audio? Let me know your theories in the comments. I can't wait to read them. Alright, that's all for today. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to support this one as much as possible and share it with as many people as you can. Also, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms where I post exclusive short content you won't find here on YouTube. And most importantly, a huge shout out to all the channel members. Seriously, thank you all so much. If you'd like to become a member, just click the join button next to the subscribe button to unlock tons of perks and exclusive emojis while supporting me. If you're interested, join in. I'll be forever grateful. And last, but definitely not least, a very special thank you to everyone who donated during the last premiere. Seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Remember, this video was made by a cat, and cats can't talk. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.